Lately, I've been tackling a lot of heavy-duty crap, mostly because the worst stuff tends to have priority. However, at some point, you get a little bit of burnout. Many people keep telling me to start doing more admirable animations, but those are actually a lot harder to make. I want admirable animations to be as perfect as possible. I have to put a lot of passion into it, and I don't want to just praise mediocrity that I happen to like. And I want to give each admirable animation the time that it deserves. Admirable animations will only come out at the right time, at the right place. Like I said, there's more shit than gems in the world, and I doubt that anyone would argue with me on that. Instead, to tackle burnout, I'd check out some of the more tame stuff, like the bad episodes from shows that I happen to like. Something that I haven't done since, Dexter vs. Santa Claus. I really haven't done a dud episode since last December, unless you count I'm with Stupid, of course. That being said, Ed, and Eddy. Courage the Cowardly Dog was my favorite cartoon, but this show would probably be my second favorite. And Powerpuff Girls would be third if you're wondering. There's just a charm to the show that hasn't really been matched. I mean, the premise is our three main characters try to con kids out of their money. This could have easily turned out bad, like the Eugene Krabs show. But instead, the show knew to give torment to the characters that deserved it, for the most part. Sometimes they got it wrong. Sorry Wrong Ed is one of those times. It starts with Ralph digging a hole, seemingly frightened when the Eds come by. He starts pouring salt on the package that he presumably wants to bury, and unveils the telephone. Eddy seems to take an attraction to it, but Ralph tries to ignore him as he begins burying the phone. Ralph seems absolutely terrified by this thing, to which none of the others seem to notice.
Pardon me, Rolf, but how could a telephone be a messenger of doom?
We're gonna find out. Eddy offers to take the phone off of Rolf's hand, and he ends up calming Rolf out of his paranoia.
That was really nice of you, Eddy, to ease Rolf's intrinsic guilt.
You want to remember that line for me? It's gonna bite this episode in the ass. Eddy gets Ed to start digging the phone up. Sometime later, he puts the phone in his room when all of a sudden it starts to ring. However, Double D notices that there's no connection. This is the first sign that Rolf wasn't delusional about this. Now, for the most part, Ed, and Eddy was grounded in reality, so a cursed phone is slightly out of the norm. But I can buy an odd premise if the episode runs with a potential. The only other time the Eds have delved with the supernatural is the episode with the boomerang, and that's one of my favorites. When Eddy answers the phone, a record is launched at the back of his head. Everyone is quick to blame Ed, who is standing right next to it, but he pleads innocent and hangs the phone back up. Eddy answers the phone again, and a spring pops out of his bed, causing more pain.
I know where you're going with this, Eddy! Nighty-night!
Alright, if I can give this episode one thing, it's Ed's performance. He's got some really good lines and the best comedy that this episode has to offer.
Eddy's in pain now, he'll have to call you back!
Shame it had to be wasted on otherwise one of the worst episodes in the series.
It looks like you could use a new mattress, Eddy. Shall we ask Rolf if he's buried one somewhere?
And here's why. Double D is terrible in this episode. Hey, asshole! Your friend just got launched into the ceiling and stuck in a giant spring, and all you're doing is gloating. Alright, maybe it's a little teasing among friends. I could tolerate that, for now. Eddy answers the phone a third time and gets pummeled by an ice cream cart. Double D notices that the circumstances have been unfortunate, and Eddy comes to the conclusion that the phone is cursed. He's clearly terrified of the thing, and the next time he answers the phone, he gets sprayed by a skunk. I'm serious, Double D doesn't give a crap about what happened to Eddy.
Oh, look at a skunk! Did you know in some parts it's also known as a polecat?
Did you miss the part where it sprayed your best friend? Because I didn't. Ed's stupid, he has an excuse. What's yours? Since Eddy thinks that the phone is cursed, Double D says that curses don't exist, and all of Eddy's bad luck has been sheer coincidence. So Eddy decides to test it. They go to the construction site, dressed up in armor, while they wait for the phone to ring.
What's taking it? Maybe it's on to us, Eddy. That was really nice of you, Eddy, to ease Rolf's intrinsic guilt.
Yeah, it was. Maybe you should try it sometime. The phone rings, and this causes a streetlight to fall on Eddy's head. Double D finds that a rusty worn nut caused the street lamp to fall, forgetting that the curse might have caused the nut to become rusty and worn, and the lamp to fall on Eddy at that particular time. Oh yeah, check on the reason it fell before you see if your friend is alright. Good on you! The phone gets answered once again, and Eddy gets run over by a concrete cylinder. Of course, Double D doesn't even try to find an explanation this time. Finally, Eddy tries to return Rolf's cursed phone. By the way, remember what I said about this show knowing when to give consequences to what character? Yeah, this episode misses the ball. All Eddy did was take something that Rolf threw away, and according to Double D, there are no such thing as curses. Either way, Rolf doesn't want the phone back. They toss it back and forth a few times before the phone lands in Ed's hand. Double D answers it like you'd answer a normal phone, trying to put this to rest. And that makes me wonder, why didn't anyone try to find out who's on the other line? I mean, if there was someone on the other line, maybe they'd have the solution to the curse. If there was no one on the other line, then you'd have no reason to answer it. When Double D answers the phone, Eddy gets hit by a truck. Double D still thinks it is just a coincidence. I understand that correlation doesn't equal causation, and Double D probably knows this, but there gets to be a point where coincidences are no longer coincidences. They form trends. You can use one in the correlation to predict the other. Eddy dumps the phone on Johnny, and presumably because he didn't do that weird ritual stuff Rolf did in the beginning of the episode, he's still got the curse.
Telephones aren't cursed, Eddy! They're plastic!
Cursed dolls are also made out of plastic.
Was that your dark side, Double D?
Actually, we've yet to see it. Yeah, we're almost over, and the worst part is still yet to come. Eddy makes a serial scan, and he thinks it'll be big because they're 100% curse-free. This causes Double D to snap. Then Eddy gets hit with a tree. Then a sandbox, with no rational explanation, falls on Eddy from the sky. Then Eddy gets run over by hippos, with no rational explanation. This prompts Double D to smile wider than he's ever smiled before. He is smiling because one of his best friends is being maimed in front of his eyes, purely because he was validated in saying that Eddy wasn't cursed. This is why this is an animated atrocity.
Aha! Proof positive! These unfortunate incidents have been nothing more than coincidence.
Unless the phone wasn't the cause of the curse.
Look around you, Eddy, and what do you see?
Someone being zapped by lightning and an asshole smiling at it. And it turns out that the phone was cursed. It was just that Johnny is answering it, even more frequently than before, meaning that Eddy is probably doomed for a long time to come. Ha ha ha! This episode sucks.